Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the BBL RoundUp podcast with me, Matt, and Shimon next to me. How are you doing, Shimon?
Hello, thank you for having me again.
You doing alright?
Yeah, can't complain. What about you?
Yeah, lovely weather outside, you know. Good moods.
Good mood, yeah. The whole week is meant to be quite nice here in Bristol. So that's something to look forward to.
But we're not here to talk about the weather, are we?
Absolutely not. We're here to talk about more interesting stuff. We're not a weatherman. So, Matthew, talk to me.
It's the end of BBL season. It's all wrapped up.
It's all, and don't know if you're aware, but who won it, Matthew?
Well, in the end, the finals, it was London Lions, Leicester Riders.
Leicester Riders, correct.
And Leicester Riders came out. Wow, I'm just thinking about a few years ago. London Lions came out on top.
Yep. Don't know if it was a close game or not.
I didn't actually tune into it, which is very against the BBL RoundUp podcast. After we've been banging on about you guys should watch it, we didn't end up watching it.
No, we did not. But that's all right. Either way, the London won. I guess you could kind of. I think the women's Lions won as well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So,
this is a big year for London basketball.
But you could kind of predict that, couldn't you? It's quite obvious that it was going to happen.
But it wasn't only a big year for London.
It was
a big year for. I'm going to say a big year for Bristol, wasn't it?
It was a massive year for the Bristol Flyers. Obviously losing the semi-finals by, was it 3 points aggregate?
Yeah.
So technically they won the game, but it's just the aggregate score that put them down a bit, which was a massive shame, really. You know, they've done so well. 25 wins in the regular season, best season so far. And I don't know if you guys saw Capulis tearing up a little bit in the interview. It's quite devastating to see.
The passion is there.
The passion is real. But hopefully we can see some guys come back to the Bristol Flyers and, go again, really.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think I said it in the first episode, but no fan is really disappointed.
No, I think everyone is happy for the Bristol Flyers. They know they've gave it their all, and that's all you could ask for. They've put the blood and sweat into it, and you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
I think the home game was a little bit sloppy. It was not
the first half.
The first half, yeah. They were picking up a little bit, but it's just as soon as they went to Leicester Riders home court, it was just they were on it. There were no messing around, just attacking, and defense was great. There were quite some good blocks by Malcolm Delpesh, a lot of threes, and it was just a very eventful game. A lot was happening. It wasn't just back and forward. There was a lot happening.
Well, as many of you probably have heard, the Flyers are now also playing in Europe.
Correct.
And I know you heard that. You were the first one to tell me, actually, in the European North Basketball League, also known as the ENBL.
Yeah.
It's a relatively new league, but it's also one of the fastest and biggest growing leagues in Europe.
I think it's great to see BBL teams moving to play to Europe, but I want to see how all that goes. Just are they still going to play in the BBL, or are they just going to focus on that? But it just shows that the sport is really growing, and it is getting recognition in the Europe leagues, and it is great to see it just growing.
I know London Lions are related to football. London Lions essentially play in the Europa League, which is the league below the Champions League in European basketball, which is obviously huge. I know Leicester Riders used to play in Europe at one point, but obviously the BBL has been focusing on London Lions playing Europe because, they are the best team in the BBL.
They are. They have the best players, the best funds. Yeah. They're the team that can do it comfortably. Yeah. Getting the better players and the travel costs.
Yeah, but it's nice to see us getting some more recognition in Europe.
I think we're always quite, what's the word, underrated? The underdogs?
Unrecognised.
Unrecognised, well, yeah. There's always, the Bristol Flyers, obviously they're going to lose. But over the years, we have been coming back stronger, and a lot of teams were surprised when playing against us. Yeah. I think the coaches weren't prepared for what the Bristol Flyers had in them this year.
Yeah, it's just shining a light on British basketball.
It is.
Because, in the past, since BBL began, Europe's never been a thing, like playing in Europe. Sorry, it's always just been Britain. It's not even really Britain either, but I mean, sorry, it's just England, English teams, isn't it? And a Scottish team. But now we're playing in Europe. There's a lot more coverage. You know, it would be only good for the BBL. It'd be more social media coverage, more TV coverage. People from all over the world will start hearing about British basketball, which 100%. Is huge.
And you got to think like BBL is still free to watch. You can the accessibility to watch it is just on YouTube, very easily accessible for everyone. So I think that's a massive thing, a massive advantage for the BBL, as anyone could watch it anytime. And you know, they get recognition on Sky Sports.
Yep.
O2 Arena was recorded by Sky Sports, and you know, we might see more coverage by the Sky Sports when more teams maybe get their own arenas, just so Sky Sports do have you know, bit more space, because they do need quite a lot of space with the big cameras and everything. But once more teams get the bigger arenas, I'm sure Sky Sports will be more willing to, you know, record.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'll just tell you a little bit about the league. They're going to be playing with teams from Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, Czech Republic, Kosovo, Israel and Ukraine. So I think there's about 16 teams in the season, and well, with Bristol Flyers, it'll be 16 teams. And how like the scoring works, so there's 2 8-team groups, and there'll be 7 midweek games during the regular season, and the top 4 teams from each group will go to the playoffs. And then the final 4 will be held at a central location April 2024. So you should be it's going to finish fairly early. This is what the season starts September.
September, yeah.
And then the EMBL will be done in April. So make sure you don't miss it, because it will be gone before you know it.
I'm quite interested how, because the European League is very, I wouldn't say aggressive, but they're very...
It's a different pace style.
It's more contact, like you see at Luka Doncic. He played in the European League, and he said it was tougher than the NBA, because less calls get called, because when you get contact, they kind of just go along with it. But that's just Europe for you, isn't it? They're much more aggressive when it comes to games. They don't like losing.
I think one thing we'll notice is I reckon there's going to be a lot bigger players. Cause you think about it, like Bristol, Malcolm Delpesh, Bristol Flyers centre's 6'9" or something? 10?
I think on the card he's around 6'10".
Yeah. And then in Europe there's going to be some 7-footers.
Oh yeah, easily.
So it's just going to be, like you said, it's going to be a lot more physical.
It is going to be a lot of physical.
It's going to be, I would say that's even more interesting to watch. I'm going to be watching every game, so I want to see, because like we were saying, British basketball is quite unrecognised. I don't know anything about Latvian, Lithuanian.
No. I think it's nice because it shines light on everyone in the European League, not just the British basketball. Everyone gets a bit of exposure, either Lithuania, Poland, all these countries. Like, I'll be honest, I don't know any basketball teams in Poland, and I'm Polish, believe it or not. And I don't know any basketball because it's just nothing that gets recognised a lot. When you go to Poland, it's really just football because Robert Lewandowski, and that's really all it is. But you can say the same thing about football, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like everyone that will probably talk about football and not really about basketball. So it's really just shining a light, just getting more coverage around the Europe League, which is great to see.
And before we announce our special guest, I've got a little thing that I should have mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Right. You haven't said obviously yet.
Oh my god.
I don't think you've said it. I haven't been really listening out for it.
This is where it goes downhill. This is where I say 100 this time. I don't know if you watched the last episode. How many did I get?
It was like
54.
But I actually watched it back.
I think we did miss one or two.
We missed quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, but there was just quite a lot. Too many to...
Yeah. So yeah.
Every word just sounded like obviously at one point. There you go. We didn't count that one.
Yeah.
We didn't count that one.
Well.
So I think it's getting a bit better now, but you never know. From now on, might just go all downhill.
Well, I'm going to give you the honours
of
announcing our special guest today, because it's a big one.
Mm-hmm. So he has a lot of knowledge about the basketball. He's been in the industry, behind the scenes, for the last 8 or 9 years.
I think it's even 10.
I think it's coming up to the 10-year mark. And he has been with the Bristol Flyers ever since they've started. So he's been for the whole of the Bristol Flyers progress. And yeah, I'm quite excited to announce Joel Osbourne, head of media and communications at the Bristol Flyers. But unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us. But we did manage to get on a phone call with him, and we asked him some questions for us and for you guys to learn a bit more about the history of the BBL. So, should we crack on?
Yep.
Perfect. So let me just get the question up. So the first question we asked him is, have you seen any improvements to the BBL? What are your thoughts on the new investors with the 777 partners? And we'll insert the clip of what he had to say now.
Improvement to BBL over the last couple of years specifically. Obviously, the Americans have come on board now. There's been new investment from 777 Partners. They're an American investment firm. And a key focus for them has been content and broadcast. So you see there's been massive improvements already to the standards of the broadcast. There's more cameras. It's making the audience who can't be there at the games feel like they're part of the action. So all the games now free on YouTube. I think in the future also they're looking at having games on a new TV deal with a free-to-air partner. They're talking about that going forwards. So it's all about getting it into more homes and creating awareness. I think a lot of people aren't necessarily aware that there's a top flight basketball league in the UK. You see a lot of NBA fans in this country, but and they follow the NBA. But obviously with the games being overseas, the tip-off times can be all over the place. They can be at 1 a.m, 2 a.m. I think the thing that makes the BBL so unique is the fact that you can get a 7:30 p.m. tip-off and it's literally right on your doorstep. And the standard of players is very similar. Like you see players come from NBA G leagues, like BJ King, for example, who played for us this past year. He joined us from the Westchester Knicks of the official G League affiliate of the New York Knicks. So the improvement's been massive. The standard on the court is definitely there. It's just how do we get that into people's homes and create awareness for it. And a big key focus for the league now, since the new CEO Aaron Radin's come on board, has been content and getting it out there. So I think that's been massive. The improvement so far in the short amount of time they've been involved has been huge. So certainly expect that to grow now as their vision comes to life. You can expect to see a new rebrand of the league coming into play, I think, in the summer. League websites being improved and just being able to make it more accessible to a lot of the NBA audience that are already out there in the UK. So my thoughts on the new investors within the league, 777 Partners, I think it's been great so far. They certainly have ambitions to want to grow the sport in this country. The first thing that the new CEO did when he came on board, Aaron Radin, first thing he did was reach out to all the clubs and host like a town hall with all the clubs to share his vision for the future. So he's being super clear about what the goals are and how they're trying to get there and how clubs can get on board with his vision as well. So that's been like a massive growth point for us. And obviously, like I say, expect to see that come to life now over the next sort of 3 to 5 years as such, as you see clubs starting to get their own arenas and TV deals starting to come through with more money trickling into the sport.
So that was Joel Osbourne. That's what he had to say about what he thinks how the BBL has improved over the years. And he did mention a 777 Partners, which, like he said, it's an American investing firm, and they've invested £7 million into the BBL for a 45% stake in the BBL. So it's quite a lot of percentage, but you got to think how much they are bringing to the table. Like Joel did mention, you already see massive upgrades to the camera equipment and the standards. So I don't know if you guys actually know, me and Matt did record for the past 2 years all the home games for the Bristol Flyers, and we could, from our own experience, we can definitely agree, as soon as they invested, not only we went from 2 cameras on the court to 1, 2, 3, 4, around 5 cameras. Yep. It was around 5 cameras. And like Joel mentioned, it's just bringing that court experience into people's home, which is great to see. Yeah.
Sorry, it's not only just cameras, but we had to do a lot more, didn't we?
Oh,
Before it was a bit like, we had to be like on it.
On it, yeah.
And like if something went wrong, like we'd be getting a phone call saying like, this is going wrong, and so you could really tell from then they were trying to
bump it up a bit.
Yeah, make it as enjoyable and easy to watch for the fans, which made our life harder, but also made it better to watch. We watched it after, 100%. And then he was also talking about the NBA. What's your favorite NBA team?
So it is Lakers.
The Lakers. Have you ever watched a live game?
No.
I've watched one NBA live game.
Like Joe mentioned, it's just 1 a.m.
It's just,
I don't want to stay up 1 a.m. and then watch like a 2-hour game because I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably just watch the highlights the next day.
Yeah.
But like you said, the BBL tip-off is 7:30 on from Monday, Saturday, and I think on Sundays 4:30 tip-off.
Yeah.
Is around that time. So it makes it much more accessible for people. You come back from work, you can just, you finish work for like 4 or 5-ish, get ready, and just, it's usually on Friday, Saturday. So it's quite a nice day to chill and watch a nice game of basketball. So it's about making it accessible for people so they don't have to like plan like months in ahead. I'm going to stay up at like 1 a.m. to watch a basketball game.
And the other thing you're saying with the standard of players, it's nowhere. Well, not nowhere near NBA, but it's not
far off.
Any NBA team would beat London Lions, I think
100%.
Yeah,
but you got to think about like how much money the NBA is making, and how much.
I think the minimum they can pay a player a year is about 500k.
500k.
And there's no. A BBL player on near that at all.
No, absolutely. Well, there's literally bench players at the BBL making probably $500,000 a year. NBA, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the minimum they can pay them a year is 500k.
Yeah.
They can't go any lower.
No, exactly.
And that could be someone that plays a minute a game.
Minute, yeah.
But I reckon in 5 years, there's obviously, I think there's always going to be a big gap between NBA and...
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But
100%.
The gap's going to be closing in every year, definitely.
Like you mentioned, we are getting players from the G Leagues.
Yep.
Like we had VJ King and Sam Decker.
Well, he's NBA.
He was NBA, actually, yeah. So I think the standard of players are improving.
Definitely.
I think it allows, if they're not getting a lot of minutes in the NBA, I think it just allows them to get more minutes in the BBL.
If they're not interested in money and they actually like basketball, then it's a good move for them because, England's a nice place to live.
Yeah,
I would say
it's great,
and definitely London's it's very attractive.
Well, you got to think about like if they're getting like 1-2 minutes in the NBA and they're playing like 30 minutes in the BBL. It's about getting yourself out there. They get the highlights and they get the name out against sponsors. So it's all about kind of building your network.
Oh yeah,
and it allows them to showcase what they can do because it's all easy to do the talk, but it's quite hard to prove it. So by them playing like a whole season, they might get phone calls from bigger teams like moving to Europe and that kind of stuff. So it's just basically getting your name out there, and I think that's what the BBL is kind of about now, getting maybe players from the NBA that don't get a lot of minutes and then allowing them to get their full minutes to get their full potential in the game.
Well, the thing like Sam Decker, he was never an NBA star. He would have been a starter, but like he was never like, if you thought about the best players, you would never have thought of him.
No.
So, but now he went from being like, he's all right in the NBA to being, he was player of the year this year. So, and that sort of thing. And Costa Koufos, he's just quite old now, I think. So, like, he's not, I don't think he could compete in NBA anymore.
Well, I think that's another thing, like age, in the NBA, what's like a age that you usually retire? It's quite young.
Yeah.
So I think like in the NBA, when you want to kind of retire but you still want to play basketball, you kind of want to like take it down a notch, maybe not as competitive.
Yeah.
Because in the NBA you're back to back, high standards. But I feel like in the BBL kind of step back. You still play at a high intensity level, but it's not at the intensity of the BBL. So you still do what you love, but kind of you step it down a bit. But you see like a lot of players, when they retire, they coach the BBL because they have all the knowledge, all the players, this guy can do this and this guy can do that. So it's just allowing the opportunity to still be involved in basketball.
And then the thing he mentioned at the end, that Joel mentioned at the end, is about how we should expect the BBL to grow even more. Yeah. Which is what we've basically been going over it. But it's just really, really exciting.
Well, he mentioned maybe a rebrand, which would be quite interesting to see how that works. He said making a new website to make it more accessible for all audiences, which I thought was quite important. Yeah. Just to grow that fan base.
Yeah,
right. Well,
what did we ask him next?
So the next question we asked him was, what do you think the BBL needs to grow in popularity? So we will insert that clip now.
In terms of what I think the BBL needs to do to grow in popularity, like I said, I think that the standard of the game is definitely there already. You're seeing top level players come into our league, players like Sam Decker, who spent 7 years in the NBA, players like Costa Koufos, a former 11-year NBA pro. So the standard on the court is there. It's just the awareness and the presentation of the game and how it looks to the audience. So content's a key part of that. How can the league reach out to new audiences via social media? How can highlights be made accessible to external partners, local media, national media, making it as easy as possible for journalists around the game to cover the sport? You almost need to put the sport on a plate to them to get coverage, because you know how tricky it's been to get coverage in local and national newspapers, local and national online audiences. And also, I think a key thing in terms of growing in popularity is collabing with influencers. Like you see big name artists playing at things like the BBL playoff final this Sunday. You saw Knots perform, Knots the rapper, he performed at the BBL Cup final in January. And it's about how can you intertwine the different cultures around basketball. So sneaker culture, fashion culture, these are things that are already very popular in the UK, and they have a natural affinity to things like basketball. So that's a key point in the strategy around going forward as to how the league can grow in popularity going forward over the next sort of
Right, so that was Joel again.
Well, yeah. I think we did speak about it in episode 1 as well, the new Bristol Flyers arena.
Yes, we did. But like you mentioned, it won't just be the Bristol Flyers. It'll be quite nice to see other teams getting the new arenas. And like I think I said in the couple minutes ago, Sky Sports might be more willing to record if they have more space and bigger arenas to record in. So I think that might be quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's just really exciting to see all this growth.
Oh yeah,
that's coming in, and he's obviously very what's the word? Trusting, I'd say, of this new CEO. Like, he obviously thinks he's going to do big things, and I think that as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I wasn't so sure at the start.
No.
They're American. What do they know about British basketball?
Yeah.
They all obviously seem really ambitious and excited about what's going to happen to the BBL.
I think it's quite important for the investors to be ambitious about the sport, because, they can just put in the money and just kind of sit back then.
But they seem to be involved.
Which I think is very important for the sport to grow even faster.
Yeah.
Like I said, as soon as they invested, they already made changes, which straight away. They didn't even wait till the next season. They started straight away. So I think that's quite nice to see that they're not messing about. They're not here just for the money.
Yeah.
They invested 7 million, and it's not about returning 20 million the next year. There's they just want to help grow with the sport, and they want to be a part of that journey, which I feel is quite nice to see that there are people that are passionate about the sport.
Oh yeah, it's really good to see, and it's just, as we always say, it's exciting.
It is exciting. It is very exciting, and it will only get better from now on. Hopefully, in the future, we might see more investors. You never know. Right, that was quite a short one. So should we get on to the next question?
Yeah.
So the next question was, do you think social media had a massive effect on the way BBL is advertised? So we will play that clip now.
Yeah, I think social media has had a huge impact on the way that the BBL has been advertised over the last few years. We're seeing a lot more sponsored ads come through on your news feed, hopefully about the BBL playoff finals this weekend, for example. And I think that's a key point of the growth. Like we said, it all revolves around content. And the thing about social media that makes it so unique is that everyone has access to things like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and you want to make the content and build it specifically for a platform that's designed for that platform. So, for example, can the league make highlights in vertical format for Instagram Reels? Can they do extended, longer form content for things like YouTube? The league started a thing like the BBL show, for example, which is a sort of a weekly magazine show. It lasts around 20 to 30 minutes on YouTube, and it's getting great numbers this season. Is there budget that can be spent into those pieces of content to help promote it on social media, to help boost it to new audiences? The good thing about social media also is the fact that, when you do these sponsored ads and targeted ads, you can literally go through it with a fine-tooth comb and target specific audiences. So, for example, with us at Flyers, if we're looking to promote tickets or if we're looking to promote content, we can literally on Facebook filter out people who live in Bristol within a 20-mile radius of the SGS College Arena that maybe like or follow an NBA team already, and then tailor and push our content to that audience, because that's the audience that we feel is most likely to, if they're already an NBA fan or already a fan of basketball, that's the audience that we feel is most likely going to want to come down and actually watch British basketball on their doorstep, a 10-minute drive away, and with tip off at a good time that's not, NBA games being like a 12 midnight tip off in the UK. 7:30 p.m. tip off is great for the family and great for the kids as well.
Back, and we spoke, and Joel spoke a bit more about how social media has a huge impact on the BBL.
Well, like we mentioned, we've already spoke about this. Okay, we can't talk about it. I'm just clap. So yeah, like we said, we were talking about social media, how there's a lot more adverts on social media, and then also I was talking about how the news. One thing Joel was talking about is how you can build certain posts to match social media.
Mm-hmm.
So like Instagram, how how it's vertical.
Yeah.
And then like TikTok short videos, and then YouTube's obviously long videos.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying that like how the BBL budget, they are focusing some of it on promoting it.
Yeah, 100%. I think the very interesting part that I didn't know is how they target the audiences. So they can kind of put like what's the radius they want to show the ads to. So maybe they'll put 10, 20 miles radius to like from the SGS Arena where Bristol Flyers are. So, people won't have to travel all the way, so people in the local area will be more interested in the sport.
Yeah.
Because if you see like an advert like for London Lions when you're in Bristol, you're not going to go all the way to London Lions to watch a game. But if you see like advert for Bristol Flyers, they have a game this Friday, you'll be more willing to be like, oh, I might as well. I'm not doing anything on Friday and Saturday. So like he said, it's kind of like picking who your audiences are. I think that's quite interesting. I did not know about. What else?
Oh yeah, we'd already spoke about the other stuff.
Yeah, and I think the other stuff that we did speak about is everything has a massive impact on how the BBL has changed. Like he did mention before, again, the influencers. So yeah, we will ask the next question, and I think this would be our last one, wouldn't it? So. Let me think. What do you think is the best way to get new fans into the BBL? So we will play that clip now.
There's a few ways, I think. Obviously, social media, which we spoke about earlier on, is a huge way of getting new fans. I think word of mouth as well, and especially with the influencers that we spoke about, like targeting specific influencers that can already have established followings. You see players like Ovi Soko, who played in the BBL this past year for the London Lions. He obviously found fame through things like Love Island and built a massive online audience through, off the back of being on that show. So then when he then ends up signing with a team like London Lions, all of a sudden they now have that extended audience that they can pump content through via Ovi's channels, for example. Like I imagine the London Lions were giving Ovi content specifically targeted and made for, say, Twitter or his Instagram, that he can then post organically on his social channels to create awareness around the team. Because a lot of people, when you look at BBL, a lot of people still don't know that there's a top flight basketball league in the UK that's massively growing in popularity. I think also the thing with the BBL and the way they want to grow going forward is they want to have more teams enter the league. So, for example, there's only 10 teams in the BBL right now. So if they can figure out a way of getting that up to 12, 14, 15 teams going forward in whole new cities and whole new markets that have been untapped previously. There's talks around them potentially investing in a Birmingham franchise, for example. Like, it's the British Basketball League, but there's not a team in Ireland, for example. Can they get a team in Belfast? Can they maybe get a team in Cardiff? Creating those storylines if there was a team in Cardiff, that'd be massive for Bristol Flyers, because all of a sudden you can create that seven-side derby kind of storyline and that narrative and tailor content that way. So I think the best way of getting new fans into the BBL is obviously all the things we spoke about with the content and the social media and the growth and the audience targeting through that way. And I think that will then trickle through to getting new fans into the league.
So, no show again, obviously. But yeah, he mentioned that social media is a huge part of getting new fans. Advertising, like you said, the new investors are kind of pushing the social media side and getting more live broadband for the fans, so they feel like they're more involved in the sport. And like you said, it's word of mouth. Like if you go, if you're hanging out with someone, say like, oh, have you heard of the BBL? You should come watch it with me. So it's kind of like bringing people along with you, because it's kind of like once you watch the first game, the intensity and there's so much going on, you'll be like, oh, I want to watch another one. Because basketball is not a boring sport, it's not, in my opinion, it's not like kicking a football, it's just back and forward. There's a lot of things that could happen. Yeah. See like amazing dunks, like long threes. There's just so many variety of things that could happen on the court. So I think that's the biggest excitement of the BBL.
I think the main thing we should focus on from what you said there, though, was the possibility of new teams. Because obviously there's only 10 teams in the league, and then the playoffs is the top 8, so there really isn't that much competition.
No.
And then obviously, like you said, we're talking about all growing about popularity. If there's new teams in new cities, I think they're proposing Birmingham and Liverpool.
Did they say Cardiff as well?
No, not yet. No. That would mean like new markets. Joel mentioned Cardiff in like Ireland.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't think it's being proposed.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very fair point, because imagine the rivalry between like Cardiff and Bristol.
Too close, isn't it?
No, that's good though.
Oh, well,
makes a rivalry. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because our nearest rivalry is in Plymouth, which isn't really.
Plymouth Exeter, isn't it? It's one of.
Plymouth.
Yeah.
There isn't a team in Exeter.
Oh no, there isn't. That's my bad.
Plymouth, and that's too far away, really. But
yeah.
It's our closest team, but it's not really like
close.
Like you couldn't like walk there.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to have someone like you couldn't really walk to Cardiff either, but
it's not like you have
in
to,
a car. It's like half an hour or an
40
hour.
minutes max.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to plan weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Book a hotel and all that stuff. You can kind of just drive to Cardiff for the day and just drive back the same day.
Yeah. So it's good to have something like that, definitely.
Yeah. And like you said, it's kind of like if you build new teams in cities, people from that city will be more involved. So it's kind of just building that market again. So like if you build a team in Cardiff, people in Cardiff will be more interested about the BBL.
Oh yeah.
And they'll follow it much more. So yeah, like you said, it's just bringing that new market into the BBL, and not only brings a new market, it brings back competition. So the existing fans will be much more involved with the sport because there's so much more going on.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things as well, as like you're saying, the away fans. Because every game they have away fans, but like, for example, travelling up to Scotland isn't really something you want to be doing.
No.
And the other problem is, like we were saying, football fans will actually do that. Yeah. And I'm not saying we don't have loyal fans in BBL, because they're very loyal, but like, it doesn't seem like there's much point in the BBL at the moment. I'm making teams closer, so like Cardiff. Ireland, you'd have to fly. Exactly. You can get a boat, a ferry, or something.
Still, that's just so much effort, isn't it? That you just wouldn't do that, would you?
But Cardiff's definitely a good idea, and then we're saying Liverpool, Birmingham, that's good because then there's more teams centrally. Yeah,
and it's kind of like, in order to play a game, you have to travel that 3-4 hours, and it's quite tiring just sitting. Especially for the players, they're not small, they're big, they're big men, so sitting cramped in a bus. And if you have teams more locally, you're kind of more fresh. It's kind of like an hour, 2 hour max. Coach across. You play and you're kind of still fresh. Yeah. And driving 4 hours there, 4 hours back is just so much more tiring, and you're tired for the next session. Obviously, you're gonna have to do that at some point, but it's just kind of reducing that and just getting more local teams involved.
Yeah. So obviously, it's really good to hear from Joel. It's really exciting to have him on.
Yeah. We would like to say a massive thank you to Joel. He's a very busy person, sorting out all the Bristol Flyers content, all the BBL all the stuff he does behind the scenes. So it's great to have him on, taking that spare time off his busy schedule and giving us and you guys some info about the BBL. So we would like to say a massive thank you to Joe Osbourne.
And then the last thing I'd like to talk about is the BBL just released their team of the year.
Yes, they did.
I'm not going to say it. You don't know it yet. I just want you to give me who you think your team of the year would be.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give mine, and then I'll reveal what the actual team of the year is. So I'd like to hear yours first.
Okay, so my point guard will be Watson Gale.
Of course.
Of course, they might see a lot of Bristol Flyers players there, but, no bias. Shooting guard would be Sam Decker.
He's player of the year. I'll accept that.
And then, obviously, shooting forward, it will be VJ King.
Okay.
It's only right, really.
Yeah, I guess.
And then my power forward will be Malcolm Delpesh. And my centre will be, sorry if I say this wrong, Costa Kof. Is that how you say it?
Something like that.
Kof? Yeah, it'll be him.
So 3 Flyers players, 2 Lions players. There's not much variation in there.
No bias stuff going on.
Well, I think if we went head to head with our teams, I'd win. That's what I'm saying. I'd have David Sloan.
No,
he's from Caledonia. You like him because when he played against us, he did some crazy
Oh yeah, he does have
I
some
can't
nice
remember
layup moves, but yeah.
Shooting guard, Patrick Whalen.
Okay.
Leicester Riders.
Yeah.
So obviously a good team.
Very good team.
Small forward, Dirk Williams.
Okay.
Probably one of the best players BBL's ever seen. Power forward, Mr. The King.
The King.
VJ King.
One and only.
My only Bristol Flyers player, but
shocking.
The best
not
player.
a true
Why
fan.
would you not have any other player? And then my centre would be Rashad
Okay.
Hassan.
That's valid.
Comparing it to the actual team of the year, I've got 3 players, right? So the BBL one was David Sloan, which I had, Dirk Williams, which I had, Sam Decker, who I probably should have put in, but I didn't. I don't want to be biased with these London Lions. VJ King I had, and then Taj Green, the big. I think he's Manchester Giants. I can't actually remember.
Yeah,
but big player.
You were very close though.
Yeah, you not so much, but
I mean, it's the effort that counts.
You basically just put the whole Bristol Flyers starting
5. But why would you blame me? It's just...
well, they didn't win, but But anyway,
that's a story for another day. But
this has been the BBL RoundUp podcast.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us again, and hopefully we will see you next time on our season 2 episode 3, and the guests will only get bigger and better.
We'll CEO next then.
CEO, yeah. Oh, no.
That's not happening. Anyway,
no. Thank you all for coming along, and we'll see you next time.